In this episode, we're going to talk about how you can know if your estrogen is sabotaging your fertility. Welcome to the Finally Get Pregnant Naturally podcast, the podcast helping women identify the real reasons you haven't conceived or stayed pregnant so you and your partner can finally grow the family of your dreams. I'm your host, Dr. Katie Wood. Let's dive in, shall we? 3 things you'll learn in today's episode: how estrogen actually supports fertility and when it can start working against you, the most common signs that estrogen imbalance may be quietly sabotaging ovulation, implantation, or pregnancy support, and the underlying root causes behind estrogen dominance. Now, March is Endometriosis Awareness Month. And while this episode is not dedicated to endometriosis alone, because endometriosis is often talked about as solely a diagnosis, but ultimately it's the consequence of not paying attention or addressing our body's signs and signals. And what's less discussed are the underlying hormonal and inflammatory patterns that allow conditions like endometriosis to develop in the first place. So if you're experiencing any of these signs and symptoms, endometriosis could potentially be down the road for you if you're not addressing these things. One of the biggest drivers behind endo is an estrogen imbalance. But estrogen is essential for fertility. We need it for ovulation, healthy cervical fluid, and uterine lining development in the luteal phase. But when estrogen becomes too dominant, poorly metabolized, or chronically elevated, it can quietly sabotage your fertility. So today we're talking about how to recognize when estrogen may be working against you and what your body might be trying to tell you. So let's talk about what healthy estrogen levels do for your fertility, because it plays a pretty powerful role. It's supporting follicle development, cervical mucus production, uterine lining growth, blood flow to your reproductive organs, and it also supports your libido and ovulatory signaling. Oh, that's a lot of important pieces for your fertility. And when your estrogen rises and falls in the right rhythm, your menstrual cycle functions beautifully. But on the other hand, when estrogen becomes excessive relative to your progesterone, or when the body can't properly clear estrogen, problems can start to show up. And your body might be whispering these signs and symptoms to you in the beginning, and then eventually it's more like screaming at you. And that's what endometriosis, as just one example, can look like. So let's talk about what an estrogen imbalance can look like. Many women have been led to believe that their symptoms that they're experiencing are normal and just part of being a woman. But estrogen imbalance often shows up through symptoms like heavy periods, painful periods, clotting during menstruation, breast tenderness, PMS or mood swings, fibroids, ovarian cysts, endometriosis, like we've discussed, migraines or headaches around your cycle, and even spotting before your period. Now, let me know if you ever thought that any one of these was just a normal sign or symptom of having your period as a woman. But these symptoms are not random. These are signals that estrogen and progesterone are out of balance. So let's talk about when that can become a problem for fertility. When estrogen is dominant or being poorly metabolized, it can create an environment of chronic inflammation, immune dysregulation, uterine irritation, and poor implantation conditions. And when we're talking specifically about fertility, estrogen imbalance can contribute to implantation challenges, early pregnancy loss, endometrial overgrowth, painful cycles, and disrupted ovulation signaling. And most importantly, estrogen dominance doesn't always mean estrogen is too high, which is what is really commonly thought, But often the issue is we don't have enough progesterone in the luteal phase to balance it out. So let's talk about why. So let's talk about the root causes of estrogen imbalance. So instead of trying to suppress our estrogen, we have to ask, why is it elevated or being poorly metabolized to begin with? And here are some common root causes, especially common ones that I see within my clients. Number one, gut health dysfunction. Your gut plays a huge role in estrogen metabolism. Certain gut bacteria help regulate estrogen through what's called the estrobolome. And when gut bacteria become imbalanced, estrogen can be recycled back into circulation instead of being eliminated. And signs that this could be happening includes bloating, constipation, reflux, food sensitivities, chronic inflammation. And you just have to remember, a healthy, balanced gut helps estrogen leave and exit the body properly the way that it was designed to. Number two, liver detoxification overload. Your liver processes estrogen so it can be eliminated through bile and stool. When the liver is overwhelmed by environmental toxins, alcohol, medications, processed foods, chemical exposures, your estrogen clearance can become sluggish and slow down. So instead of leaving the body, your estrogen keeps recirculating, which I'm sure you can imagine how bad that would be for fertility. Number three, and we all hear about this one, chronic stress and low progesterone. Stress plays a huge role in estrogen dominance. High cortisol suppresses ovulation quality and lowers progesterone production. And then when progesterone drops, estrogen becomes dominant by default. And this is one of the most common patterns I'm seeing in women coming to me struggling with fertility. Number four is environmental estrogen exposure. So many of our everyday products contain what's called xenoestrogens, and they can mimic estrogen in the body. These can be found in plastics, pesticides, fragrances, conventional beauty care products, and even certain cleaning chemicals in your home. So over time, these compounds can add to your body's total estrogen burden. And this is actually something that I see very often with the women that I work inside my one-on-one Fertile as a Mother program, because many of them come in believing that their fertility issue is the singular thing, such as endometriosis, unexplained infertility, or just overall hormone imbalance. But when we start looking deeper, we are uncovering significant estrogen metabolism issues tied to their gut health, stress, and inflammation. And I'm thinking of one client in particular. She came to me with extremely painful periods, heavy bleeding, and was told her symptoms were just a part of having endometriosis. When we started working together, we focused on supporting her gut microbiome, her liver detox pathways, nervous system regulation, while also strengthening ovulation and progesterone production. And within just a few cycles, her painful periods dramatically improved, the clotting resolved, and her hormone patterns began to regulate. And not long after that, she conceived naturally. Now, every fertility journey is different, but this is exactly why I focus so heavily on addressing the underlying systems influencing hormones and not just suppressing or trying to override symptoms. Because when those symptoms improve, the body is going to naturally follow that and begin to function in the way that it was designed to. If I suspect an estrogen imbalance in any of my fertility clients, some labs that I have been specifically trained to order and review through the lens of fertility would look like cycle day 3 hormones, including estradiol, progesterone levels 5 to 7 days post ovulation, liver function markers, inflammation markers, and then we could even look at further functional comprehensive testing like a Dutch hormone test to review the estrogen metabolism pathways, and also a comprehensive stool test to really review gut health to see if there are any pathogens or elevated enzymes that could be impacting the estrogen being recirculated into the body. And these tests are going to really reveal whether estrogen is elevated, being poorly cleared, or just simply unbalanced relative to progesterone levels. So just to reframe all of this for you, because I feel like estrogen gets such a bad rap, but estrogen itself is not the enemy. And in fact, healthy estrogen levels are absolutely essential for fertility. So the goal isn't to suppress our estrogen, it's to help support the body to properly metabolize, balance, and regulate it properly. And when we support gut health, liver detoxification, nervous system balance, ovulation quality, all of those things, estrogen will return to its innate healthy rhythm. And this root cause approach is exactly how I help the women and couples inside my one-on-one Fertile as a Mother program, where we look at your full picture of fertility, which includes hormones, gut health, metabolism, inflammation, nervous system regulation, to identify what is actually blocking conception. Because fertility challenges rarely come down to just one hormone or one diagnosis. They're usually the result of multiple systems crying out for support. And when we address those systems together, because everything is so interconnected and woven together, fertility outcomes can change pretty quickly and in powerful ways. So just remember, your symptoms are not random. They are signals from your body. And when we listen to those signals and address the deeper systems influencing your hormone balance, your fertility improves in ways that many women were never told were possible, but they are. So let's recap what we talked about today. We talked about how estrogen, which is essential for fertility, can become problematic when it's not properly balanced with progesterone or cleared effectively from the body. And symptoms like painful periods, heavy bleeding, PMS, and conditions like endometriosis are often signals that estrogen metabolism and hormone balance need support. When we focus on the root systems influencing our hormones, estrogen can return to a healthier rhythm and your fertility can improve. So, if this episode struck a nerve and you are ready to have true clarity and confidence on what's blocking your healthy pregnancy, and you want to know the exact next steps you need to boost your fertility now, book your free fertility strategy call so we can map out your personalized plan to finally grow the family of your dreams. The link is always in the show notes there for you. So I just want to thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you on our next episode, released every Tuesday and Thursday. Are you ready to finally discover why you haven't been able to get or stay pregnant? The Ultimate Fertility Blueprint is a quick, insightful quiz designed to reveal your overall capacity to conceive and help you discover potential root causes and areas to address to improve your fertility so you can finally get and stay pregnant. You'll find the link in the show notes. As a quick reminder and disclaimer, this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice. Always consult your doctor or healthcare provider before starting any new supplement or protocol, especially if you're actively trying to conceive or undergoing treatment.